first time I realised my future mother-in-law wanted to destroy me, I was holding a glass of $1,000 champagne and smiling so hard my cheeks hurt. That's the thing about wealthy people. They prefer their violence to come with a receipt. I'm Caitlin, and 6 months ago I was just a successful financial consultant dating the perfect gentleman. Bradley was everything I dreamed of, kind, successful, and refreshingly normal, despite his family's old money background. Our dates were simple: coffee shops, bookstores, quiet restaurants where we'd talk for hours. No red flags, no drama. Then came the ring, and with it, his mother. "Oh, darling, what a unique choice of career for a woman of your background," Celeste said during our first meeting, her pearls catching the light as she sipped her tea. "Though I suppose ambition is admirable in small doses." I should have seen it coming. The way Bradley's shoulders tensed whenever his mother called. How his sister Soleil stopped visiting altogether. But love makes you stupid sometimes, doesn't it? "Mother, please," Bradley would say. But his protests were as weak as gas station coffee. The real bomb dropped at tonight's engagement dinner. Celeste stood, crystal champagne flute raised high, her designer dress probably worth more than my car. "Bradley, darling, your father and I have been discussing your future." Her smile was razor-sharp. "We think it's time you took a more active role in the family business. And Caitlin, sweetheart." I felt every eye in the room turn to me. "We know how demanding your little career is. All those long hours, all that stress." She placed her hand over her heart in mock concern. "As your future mother-in-law, I simply cannot bear to watch you struggle to balance work and being a proper wife to my son." The room went quiet. Even the waiters stopped moving. "That's why we've decided to support you both financially, completely." She emphasized the word like it was a noose. "So you can leave your job and focus on what really matters. Family." I watched Bradley's face. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Bradley," I said softly, "what do you think about this?" He shifted in his seat, adjusting his tie. "Well, Mother has a point about the family business, and maybe it would be nice to have you home more." Lara, my best friend, grabbed my hand under the table. I could feel her fury radiating like a space heater. Celeste was still standing, still smiling that shark smile. Of course, we'd need to discuss the particulars. Monthly allowances, household budgets. I've always believed a woman should know her place in the family hierarchy. The champagne in my glass suddenly looked like poison. I thought about my corner office downtown, my investment portfolio, the clients who trusted me with millions. I thought about Soleil, who I hadn't seen since Christmas, who used to paint beautiful things before she mysteriously chose to study business instead. I stood up slowly, raising my glass to match Celeste's pose. The diamond on my finger felt heavy, like a handcuff. "What a generous offer," I said, my voice honey-sweet, "to support us while Bradley transitions to the family business." Celeste's smile widened. Victory looked good on her. "In fact," I continued, "why wait? I'll resign tomorrow." "Wonderful!" Celeste clapped her hands together. "I knew you'd see reason, dear. We'll make a proper Wilkins wife of you yet." Later that night, as Bradley drove us home, he tried to touch my hand. I pulled away. "Katie, I know it seems sudden." "Don't." My voice was ice. "Just don't." Mother means well. She just wants to control everything like she did with Soleil. He flinched. That was different. I looked out the window, watching the city lights blur past. My phone buzzed. Probably Lara, ready to rage on my behalf, but I felt strangely calm. Because here's the thing about being underestimated. It gives you room to maneuver. Celeste saw a naive girl she could mould into her vision of a perfect wife. She saw my career as a hobby, my independence as a phase. What she didn't see was me already calculating compound interest on karma. I turned to Bradley, smiled my sweetest smile. "You're right. I'm sure your mother knows exactly what she's doing." And she did. She just didn't know what I was about to do. "An irrevocable trust." Noe raised her eyebrows over her legal pad. "That's quite aggressive for someone who just got engaged." I sat in her downtown office the next morning, still wearing yesterday's power suit. Aggressive is trying to financially strangle your future daughter-in-law. This is just insurance. She leaned back in her chair, studying me. "Walk me through your assets." Investment portfolio worth $2.1 million. 3 properties, my downtown condo, the beach house in Newport, and that small apartment building I bought last year. Plus my grandmother's inheritance and my personal savings. "That's substantial," Noe started writing. "Most clients come to me after marriage when it's too late." I thought about my mother who'd left when I was 12, taking nothing but her clothes and leaving my father with empty bank accounts. I learned young that financial independence isn't just about money, it's about control. My phone buzzed. Another text from Celeste. "Darling, let's discuss your resignation letter over lunch. I know the perfect way to phrase it." "Your future mother-in-law doesn't know about these assets?" Noe asked. "She thinks I'm just another corporate drone with a nice salary. Bradley knows I'm comfortable, but not the details." I showed her the text. "She's already trying to orchestrate my exit." "And your fiancé?" "Loves me, but he's been under his mother's thumb so long he thinks it's normal." Noe pulled out a fresh document. "Once we set this up, no one can touch it. Not Bradley, not Celeste, not even you in some cases. Are you sure?" "Do it." Later that afternoon I met Lara at our usual coffee spot. She was already on her second espresso, practically vibrating with rage. "You're actually quitting?" She slammed her cup down. "Katie, this is insane. You've worked too hard to let some pearl-clutching dinosaur destroy your career." "Lower your voice," I said calmly, stirring my tea. "And I'm not letting her destroy anything." "Then what do you call it?" I pulled out my phone, showing her the trust documents Noe had drafted. "I call it renovating the battlefield." Lara's eyes widened as she scrolled. "Holy shit! Does Bradley know you're this loaded?" "Bradley knows what he needs to know." I took my phone back. "And his mother knows even less." This is playing with fire. "No," I said, thinking of Soleil's empty art studio, of Bradley's constant need for his mother's approval. "This is teaching an old dragon that not all maidens need rescuing." My phone buzzed again. Celeste had sent a draft resignation letter full of flowery language about pursuing domestic fulfillment and embracing traditional values. I forwarded it to Noe with a simple message: Evidence File A. That evening I drove to the Wilkins estate, where Celeste was hosting one of her famous garden parties. Bradley met me at the door with a kiss. "Mother's been asking for you," he said. "She's excited about helping with your transition." "I bet she is," I thought, but smiled. "Actually, I have something for her." I found Celeste holding court among her society friends, all perfectly coiffed women who measured their worth in thread counts and charity board positions. "Caitlin, darling," she air-kissed my cheeks. "We were just discussing your brave decision." I handed her a sealed envelope. "My resignation letter. I thought you'd want to be the first to see it." She opened it immediately, her friends leaning in like vultures. Her eyes scanned the page, smile growing wider with each line. "Ladies, listen to this beautiful sentiment," she began reading aloud. "After careful consideration, I've decided to dedicate myself fully to family life and the sacred duties of a wife." I stood there, accepting their congratulations and condescending pats, knowing the real resignation letter was still safely in my desk drawer at work. What Celeste held was just another piece of evidence, proof of her interference in my career decisions. One more document for Noe's growing file. Later, as Bradley drove us home, he seemed troubled. "You're taking all this surprisingly well." I reached over and squeezed his hand. "Your mother knows best, right?" He nodded, but didn't look convinced. My phone lit up with a text from Noe. "Trust documents ready for signature tomorrow. Are you certain about this path?" I thought about Celeste reading my fake resignation letter to her friends, already planning how to reshape my life into her image of perfection. About Bradley still seeking Mommy's approval at 36. I typed back, "Absolutely certain. Time to show them what a proper wife can really do." Because here's the thing about cages. They only work if you don't know how to pick the lock. And I've got a whole ring of keys they don't even know exist. "Here's your monthly allowance, dear." Celeste slid a cream-coloured envelope across her mahogany desk. "I've included a suggested budget spreadsheet. Every proper wife should understand household management." I picked up the envelope, feeling like a teenager getting pocket money. "How thoughtful." "I've marked the appropriate stores where you should shop," she continued. "The Wilkins name carries certain expectations." Later that day, I posted a carefully staged photo on Instagram, me in a pristine apron arranging flowers in the sunlit kitchen. Caption, "Embracing my new chapter. Ta blessed wife, sa home life." Celeste commented within minutes. "So proud of your transformation, darling." I deleted the perfectly arranged vegetables and ordered takeout. My phone rang. It was Lara. "Your social media is giving me hives. Since when do you hashtag anything?" "Since I started building a paper trail," I said, switching to speaker as I photographed Celeste's budget spreadsheet. "Every comment, every text, every suggestion goes to Noe." "You're really playing the long game, huh?" "Speaking of games," I said, "I need Soleil's number." Silence on the line. "Bradley's sister, the one who disappeared?" "That's the one." Finding Soleil wasn't hard. She was living in Portland, running a small art gallery. When I called, she answered on the first ring. "How did you get this number?" Her voice was guarded. "Lara, listen, I need to understand what happened with art school." A sharp intake of breath. "Did Bradley tell you?" "No, but I'm watching history repeat itself." We met at a quiet cafe 3 days later. Soleil looked nothing like the society photos in the Wilkins house. Gone were the designer clothes and perfect makeup. She wore paint-splattered jeans and looked happier for it. "Mother found out I was applying to art school senior year," she said, clutching her coffee. "She showed up at my dorm with documents showing she could cut off my trust fund, my car, everything." I pressed record on my phone, hiding it under a napkin. What exactly did she say? That art wasn't a proper career for a Wilkins, that I needed to think about the family's reputation. Tears welled in her eyes. She said if I didn't switch to business, she'd make sure I understood what real struggle felt like. And Bradley stood there, silent, like always. She wiped her eyes. I left everything behind that day, started over with nothing but my talent and spite. I showed her my trust documents. I'm making sure she can't do the same to me. Soleil studied the papers, then looked up sharply. "You're documenting everything, aren't you? Every manipulation, every threat, every suggestion." A slow smile spread across her face. "Need another witness?" Back at the Wilkins estate, I played my part perfectly, hosted tea parties, joined the right committees, posted the right photos. Celeste was ecstatic. "You're becoming quite the society wife," she beamed during one of her surprise visits. "Though your household expenses seem a bit creative." I maintained my innocent smile. "I've been following your budget exactly." "Then you won't mind showing me your bank statements." "Those are privileged assets," I said sweetly. "But I'm happy to review your spreadsheet again." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Family shouldn't have secrets, Caitlin." Like the secret of why Soleil really left art school. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Celeste's fingers tightened around her teacup. "That was a private family matter." "Everything's private in this family, isn't it?" Before she could respond, Bradley walked in. "Mother, what are you doing here?" "Just helping Caitlin understand our family's financial expectations." Celeste recovered quickly. In fact, I was thinking we should discuss her household allowance at the garden party tomorrow. Fiscal discipline is so attractive in a wife, don't you think?" I watched Bradley's face carefully. For a moment, something like doubt crossed his features. But then it was gone, replaced by his usual agreeable smile. "Whatever you think is best, Mother." Later that night, I sent everything to Noe, the recorded conversation with Soleil, screenshots of Celeste's suggestions, photos of the budget spreadsheets. My phone buzzed with a text from Soleil. "Just found my old acceptance letter to art school. Still has Mother's lipstick marks where she kissed it before tearing it up. Want a copy?" I smiled, thinking of Celeste's perfectly organised world, where everything and everyone had their proper place, where daughters became business majors and wives became decorative puppets. "Send it," I replied. "It's time to redecorate the dollhouse." Because sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold, it's served with a perfectly polite smile and a receipt for every single betrayal. "What's this?" Celeste held up the spreadsheet I'd given her, perfectly manicured nails tapping against the paper. "My monthly expense report," I said, pouring her tea. "Colour-coded, just like you suggested." She scanned the document, frowning at my meticulous entries. Everything was there. Grocery receipts, clothing purchases, household supplies, all carefully fabricated, all impossibly perfect. "These numbers seem convenient," she said. I stirred honey into my tea. "I learned from the best. I'd like to see your bank statements." Her voice was steel wrapped in silk. "Not just this summary sheet." "Oh, those are privileged assets." I smiled, echoing her own words from countless family discussions. "We wouldn't want to mix personal and family finances, would we?" The memory hit like a thunderbolt. Celeste screaming at Soleil in this very room 5 years ago. I'd found the security footage in the house's old system. "The money stays in the bloodline," she'd shrieked, throwing Soleil's art school acceptance letter into the fireplace. "This family's reputation is worth more than your little hobby." Now Celeste set down her teacup with a sharp clink. "Caitlin, dear, when I agreed to support your transition from that dreary career, I assumed you understood the arrangement." "Oh, I understand perfectly." I pulled out another document, a fake budget proposal for next month. I've even planned ahead. Bradley chose that moment to walk in, loosening his tie. He stopped short at the tension in the room. "Everything okay?" "Your wife," Celeste said carefully, "seems to have some interesting ideas about financial transparency." I watched Bradley's face, saw the familiar conflict there, the boy who wanted to please his mother wrestling with the man who claimed to love me. "Maybe we should all take a break from budget talks," he suggested weakly. "Wonderful idea," I said, standing. "I need to check on my investment portfolio anyway." Celeste's head snapped up. "Investment portfolio? Just a little hobby," I waved dismissively. "Nothing like the family business, of course." Later that night, I heard Bradley in his study, clicking through our joint account online. I'd been waiting for this. "Katie," his voice was strange, "there are deposits here I don't recognise." I appeared in the doorway, face innocent. Large deposits, stock sales." He turned the screen toward me. "I thought you'd stopped working." "Oh, that." I perched on his desk. "Just managing my personal portfolio. Your mother's allowance is for household expenses, after all. A woman should have her own safety net, don't you think?" His brow furrowed. "Mother won't like this." "Mother doesn't need to know everything." "But family shouldn't have secrets," I finished. "Like the secret of why Soleil really left, or why your father's sister vanished from all the family photos after she married that musician." Bradley went pale. "How do you know about Aunt Rebecca?" "Alina told me." I named their longtime housekeeper. "She remembers a lot of interesting things about your mother's idea of family loyalty." "That's different," he protested, but his voice lacked conviction. My phone buzzed. A text from Noe. "Trust documents registered. All assets secured." "Bradley," I said softly, Do you ever wonder why none of your cousins visit anymore? Why Soleil won't return your calls? Why every family photo looks perfect but feels empty? He stared at the computer screen, at the evidence of my financial independence. What are you saying? I'm saying your mother's not protecting the family. She's collecting dolls for her dollhouse. I touched his shoulder. And I won't be the next display piece. She means, well, does she? I pulled out my phone, played the recording of Celeste threatening Soleil. Bradley's face crumpled as his sister's tears filled the room. Where did you get that? The same place I got proof of every suggestion, every threat, every manipulation. I headed for the door. Your mother's been building evidence against herself for years. I'm just the first one keeping receipts. Katie, wait. Check your email, I said. I just sent you something interesting. Correspondence between your mother and the family lawyer about controlling my assets after the wedding. Dated 3 months before she suggested I quit my job. I left him there, staring at his screen, the foundations of his perfect family cracking like thin ice. Because here's the thing about ledgers. They don't just track money, they track patterns, behaviours, intentions. And Celeste's ledger was about to show some very interesting returns. My phone buzzed again. Soleil. Mother just called, fishing for information about my financial situation. Should I tell her about my gallery's 6-figure sales last month? I smiled, thinking of Celeste's colour-coded spreadsheets and careful plans. Not yet, I replied. Some investments need time to mature. It must be so challenging, I said, loud enough for the entire charity luncheon to hear, living off your parents' money at our age. I couldn't imagine not having my own identity. Heads turned. Celeste across the room nearly dropped her champagne flute. But darling, Mrs. Patterson leaned in, pearls swinging, I thought you'd quit your job to be a proper wife. Oh, I left my career, I smiled. But a smart woman always has her own resources. Don't you agree, Celeste? Celeste's approach could have frozen hell. Caitlin, dear, perhaps we should discuss family matters privately. Why, I thought financial dependency was the goal. I turned back to the gathered socialites. Celeste has such strong opinions about keeping wives properly managed. Later that afternoon, Alina found me in the garden. The housekeeper's eyes darted around before she spoke. You're playing a dangerous game, Mrs. Caitlin. Like the game Celeste played with Mr. Wilkins? Alina's face went still. Who told you about that? Nobody had to. I saw the pattern. I gestured for her to sit. How long have you worked here, Alina? 28 years, she smoothed her apron, since before Mr. Wilkins passed. And did he really have a heart attack while checking the family accounts? Alina's hands trembled. Mrs. Celeste. She had ways of ensuring loyalty. Mr. Wilkins discovered some irregularities in the books. The next day, she made it look like stress killed him. The doctors said his heart was weak. Alina's voice dropped to a whisper. But I saw the papers he found, the separate accounts, the transfers. My phone buzzed. A reporter from the local society pages. Interesting tip about the Wilkins family's approach to marriage and money. Care to comment? I showed Alina the message. Celeste's friends are talking. Seems they don't appreciate her methods becoming public knowledge. She'll destroy you. No, I said, forwarding the reporter's message to Noe. She'll try. That evening, Bradley came home agitated. Mother's friends are acting strange. Mrs. Patterson cancelled their weekly bridge game. How tragic. Katie, he grabbed my arm. What's happening? Ask your mother about your father's last day. I pulled away. Ask her about the account statements he found. His face went white. What are you talking about? Better yet, ask Alina. She remembers everything. I headed upstairs, including where your mother hid the original documents. The next morning, my carefully crafted comment about women forced into financial dependency appeared in the society pages. By noon, Celeste's phone was ringing non-stop. What have you done? She hissed when she barged into our house. My friends are asking questions, horrible questions. About what? Your financial advice? Your parenting methods? I sipped my coffee. Or about what really happened to your husband. She went still. How dare you? Alina kept copies, I cut in, of everything. Insurance, really. Just like my trust fund is insurance. Your what? Oh, didn't Bradley tell you? I have my own money, always have. I pulled out my phone, showed her my portfolio. Quite a lot of it, actually. Her face contorted. You lied. No, I let you lie to yourself. You assumed I was naive. Controllable. I stood up. That was your first mistake. I'll tell Bradley that you killed his father, that you forced Soleil to abandon her dreams, that you've been systematically isolating this family for decades. Each question hit like a physical blow. Celeste gripped the counter for support. You have no proof. I have everything, Celeste. Every document, every witness, every secret. I moved closer. And if you don't back off, so will the police. She straightened, recovering her composure. You're bluffing. Try me. I pulled out a final envelope. Or we can discuss this with my lawyer. Your choice. This isn't over. Actually, I smiled, it is, because in about 10 minutes, Bradley's going to find his father's original account statements in your old filing cabinet. Alina's putting them there now. The colour drained from her face. Karma's funny that way, I continued. It waits until you think you're safe, then shows you every receipt you tried to hide. Celeste fled the house just as Bradley's car pulled up. She brushed past him without a word. He found me in the kitchen, still calmly drinking coffee. Mother looks upset, he said carefully. She just remembered an important meeting. I checked my watch. In fact, you should probably check your father's old office. I hear some interesting documents are about to resurface. As he headed upstairs, my phone lit up with a text from Soleil. Mother's friends are calling. They want to know about Dad's last day. What did you do? I smiled, thinking of Celeste's perfectly constructed world, crumbling like a house of cards. Nothing, I replied. Just returned some overdue library books. Sign it. Celeste slammed the power of attorney document onto my kitchen counter. For family unity. I picked up the paper, pretending to read it carefully. Interesting timing, right after Bradley found those old account statements. This isn't about that. Her hands shook slightly. This is about protecting the family's interests. Like you protected your husband's interests? Her face tightened. You don't understand. Actually, I reached into my bag. I do. I pulled out my own stack of papers. This is from my lawyer. It's a detailed outline of my trust's legal protections. Note the part about it being irrevocable. She snatched the document, scanning it frantically. This is impossible. When did you... The day after you suggested I quit my job. I poured myself some coffee. Want to know the best part? Even Bradley can't access it without my consent. The paper crumpled in her grip. You've been planning this all along. Learning from the master. I gestured to her designer handbag. Though I prefer my manipulation with less Chanel. Bradley's footsteps on the stairs made us both turn. He stood in the doorway, looking exhausted. Mother, what are you doing here? Protecting you, she snapped, waving my trust documents. From her. From me, I laughed. Show him what you really came with, Celeste. Show him the power of attorney you wanted me to sign. Bradley took both documents, reading them slowly. Katie, what is this trust? Insurance, I met his eyes, against exactly this kind of power play. You've been hiding your assets from me, like you hid your mother's plans. I pulled out my phone, opened my emails. Should we discuss the messages between you two about using the homemaking plan to get my cooperation on future business deals? His face went pale. How did you... Your mother's not the only one who knows how to access family records. I turned to Celeste. Your IT security is terrible, by the way. You had no right, she began. Like you had no right to force Soleil out of art school, to isolate your husband before his death, to try to turn me into another one of your puppets. Bradley stepped between us. Stop it, Both of you. Ask her about the separate accounts, I said quietly. The ones your father found before he died. Mother! His voice cracked. Celeste straightened her spine. Everything I did was for this family. Was it? I pushed forward. Or was it for control? Bradley, she reached for him, surely you see... I see plenty. He backed away from both of us. I see secrets and lies and manipulation from everyone. He turned to me, eyes hard. You watched me struggle with this family dynamic for months. Why didn't you tell me about the trust? You watched your sister lose everything she loved and stood silent, I countered. I couldn't risk you letting your mother do the same to me. The truth hung between us like smoke. Bradley grabbed his keys. I need time to think. Bradley, please! Celeste called after him. The door slammed. His car started. Then silence. Celeste's smile was vicious. Well done. You've managed to destroy everything. No, you did that years ago. I walked to the front door, held it open. I just turned on the lights. After she left, I went upstairs to pack an overnight bag. That's when I saw the box she'd left behind, or, more likely, planted for me to find. Inside were printed emails between Bradley and his mother, dating back months before our engagement, discussing the homemaking plan, strategizing how to secure my cooperation for future business ventures. My phone buzzed. Soleil, Bradley just called. He's a mess. Good, I typed back. Sometimes you need to break before you can rebuild. Another text, this time from No. Got your message. Moving forward with phase 2? I looked at the emails, proof of Bradley's complicity in his mother's schemes. Even as he claimed to love me, he'd been helping plan my cage. Yes, I replied. Time to show them what a proper wife can really do. Because here's the thing about trust. Once broken, it's like a mirror. You can try to piece it back together, but you'll always see the cracks. And sometimes those cracks show you who people really are. I packed my bag, took one last look at our wedding photo on the wall. We looked so happy, so innocent, before the masks came off. My phone buzzed one final time. Lara, my guest room's ready. Wine's breathing. I smiled, thinking of Celeste's face when she realized her power play had backfired, of Bradley's shock when his perfect world cracked. On my way, I replied, and Lara, bring the expensive stuff. We're celebrating, because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth, it's walking away while the truth does its work. Would you like more tea, Celeste? I set the delicate china pot down at her usual spot for our weekly breakfast. It might help with the trembling. She didn't touch the cup. You think you're so clever? No, I settled into my chair. I think I'm prepared. There's a difference. The morning sun streamed through the windows, highlighting the new lines on her face. 3 weeks of social isolation had taken their toll. Even her designer outfit seemed somehow diminished. Let's talk about karma, I said pleasantly, about how it builds slowly like interest on a bad investment. If you think I have everything, I cut her off, every email, every threat, every financial manipulation. But more importantly, I pulled out my phone. I have Alina. Her face went chalk white. Alina. She's quite chatty once she feels safe. Amazing what a guaranteed pension can do for someone's memory. You bought my housekeeper? No, I gave her security, something you should understand. I pressed play on my phone. Alina's voice filled the room, describing in detail the day Mr. Wilkins died. Celeste's hands gripped the table. That proves nothing. The police might disagree, especially with the original account statements Bradley found. What do you want? I leaned forward. I want you to understand something. Every time you pushed, I documented. Every threat you made, I recorded. Every manipulation you attempted, I tracked. You can't prove. Your society friends are already talking. Haven't you noticed the cancelled lunches, the unanswered calls? I smiled. Turns out rich people hate being associated with scandal. She tried to rally. Bradley won't believe. Bradley's seen the emails, the ones where you planned to use our marriage to secure business deals. I poured more tea. He's not taking it well. I did everything for this family. No, I said quietly. You did everything for control, and now you're losing it piece by piece. Her composure cracked. You ungrateful. Careful. I held up my phone. Still recording. The fight seemed to drain out of her. What happens now? Now? I pulled out a thick envelope. Now you read this. It's every piece of evidence I have, including Alina's sworn statement about Mr. Wilkins's last day. She opened it with shaking hands. This would destroy everything. Yes, unless... Her head snapped up. Unless what? Unless you disappear. Not physically, we're not animals, but from my life, from Bradley's decisions, from Soleil's future. You can't erase me. Watch me. I stood up. Your choice, Celeste. Keep your reputation and distance, or lose everything trying to keep control. You planned this from the beginning. No, you planned this. Every manipulation, every threat, every power play. I walked to the window. I just kept better records. My phone buzzed. Soleil. Just sold 3 paintings, 6 figures each. Mother's friends are the buyers. I showed Celeste the message. Karma's funny that way. Your social circle is already hedging their bets. They wouldn't dare. They already are. Check your calls, count your lunch invitations. I gathered my things. Rich people are surprisingly practical about choosing sides. She sat there, defeated, surrounded by evidence of her own destruction. One more thing, I said at the door. Alina's pension, it's coming from your personal account. I had Noe arrange it last week. Consider it severance for 28 years of keeping your secrets. You can't. Already done. The papers were in that stack you just read. I smiled. You should really check what you're signing when you're upset. Later that evening, Bradley called. Mother's leaving for Europe. Extended vacation, she says. How convenient. Katie? He hesitated. The things she did. The things I helped her do. Save it, I cut him off. You chose your side long ago. I want to fix this. Some things can't be fixed, Bradley. Some betrayals don't get second chances. My phone lit up with another message, this time from Noe. Celeste's flight booked, first class to Switzerland, one-way ticket. I thought about karma, about how it builds like compound interest, about how every action creates an equal and opposite reaction. You tried to buy my silence, I texted back to Bradley. Turns out I'm too rich for your budget. Because here's the thing about revenge. The best kind doesn't come with violence or screaming. It comes with spreadsheets and receipts, with quiet conversations over morning tea. And sometimes it comes with a one-way ticket to somewhere far away, where the only person you can control is yourself. My phone buzzed one last time. Lara. Wine tonight. We should celebrate. I looked at the evidence scattered across my table, at the ruins of Celeste's carefully constructed empire. Definitely, I replied. I hear karma pairs well with champagne. Sign here. No slid the divorce papers across her desk. And here. Bradley's pen hovered over the line. We could still... No, I said quietly. We really couldn't. The signing took less than 5 minutes. Just like that, our marriage ended with the same quiet efficiency I'd used to dismantle his mother's empire. Outside Noe's office, Bradley tried one last time. I know I messed up. You helped plan my cage, I cut him off. The only difference between you and your mother is that she was honest about her intentions. He flinched. I loved you. No, you loved the idea of me. The version your mother could control. As his car pulled away, Lara appeared at my side. You okay? Better than okay. I showed her my phone, a news alert about Celeste's indefinite sabbatical in Switzerland. Karma's working overtime. Speaking of work, Lara grinned, ready to see it. The building downtown wasn't much to look at from the outside, but inside was everything I'd been working toward. The Women's Financial Education Centre, I read the freshly painted sign. Funded by the Russell Trust for Economic Independence. Lara squeezed my arm. Your money, your rules. No, I corrected her. Their money, their futures. The first class was already gathering, women of all ages, many looking as lost as I'd once felt. Before I learned about power, before I understood control. Welcome, I addressed them. Today we're going to talk about financial independence, about protecting yourselves, about understanding that money isn't just currency, it's freedom. A young woman in the front raised her hand. Is this because of those articles about the Wilkins family scandal? This is because every woman deserves to write her own story, I replied, without anyone else holding the pen. My phone buzzed. Soleil. Just sold out my first solo show. Guess who didn't get an invitation? I smiled, thinking of Celeste in her Swiss exile, reading about her daughter's success in the same society pages that once documented her own reign. After class, Alina met me for coffee. She looked younger somehow, lighter. The pension cleared, she said. First payment arrived today. Good. I stirred my tea. How's the book coming? She patted her bag, where I knew she kept her manuscript. Secrets of the Manor, a housekeeper's tale. Publishers very interested, she smiled. Apparently stories about wealthy families and their hidden sins are quite popular. My phone lit up again. Bradley. Mother's selling the estate, moving to Switzerland permanently. I showed Alina the message. She nodded slowly. The house holds too many ghosts now, and too many paper trails. Later that evening I sat in my new apartment, surrounded by unpacked boxes and possibilities. Lara brought wine, Soleil brought takeout, and we sprawled across my floor like college students. To karma, Lara raised her glass. To freedom, Soleil added. To receipts, I finished, making them laugh. My phone chimed. No, final trust disbursement cleared. You're officially untouchable. I thought about power, about how it shifts like sand under your feet, about how the strongest chains are the ones we allow others to place on us. You know what's funny? Soleil said suddenly. Mother always taught us that family was about loyalty, about keeping secrets. And now? Now I realize family is about truth, even when it hurts. I looked at these women, my real family, the ones who stood by me, who understood that sometimes you have to burn the dollhouse down to free the dolls. The centre needs art, I told Soleil, something about breaking glass ceilings. Already sketching it, she grinned. My doorbell rang, a courier with one last document. The final page of Alina's manuscript dedicated to the woman who taught me that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with compound interest. Because here's the truth about karma. It's not just about payback. It's about balance, about restoration, about taking everything that was meant to cage you and using it to build wings instead. I picked up my phone one last time, opened my banking app, transferred a significant sum to the education centre's account. What's that for? Lara peered over my shoulder. Seed money, I said, for the next woman who needs to learn how to fly, because revenge didn't ruin me. It revealed me. And karma, she likes interest. To freedom, I raised my glass again. To freedom, they echoed. And somewhere in Switzerland, a woman who once thought she could control the world was learning that some fortunes can't be measured in dollars. They're measured in truth, in justice, and in the quiet power of a woman who knows exactly what she's worth.